Okay. If you were gone yesterday, we were talking about overtime and time or double time or time and a half and all that stuff. So let's look. We are just starting to get into this, right? All right. So Juan Torres is paid $12.40 for a regular 40-hour week. And he makes time and a half for an overtime rate. This week, Torres worked 40 hours, regular hours, plus 11 hours of overtime. Woo-wee. All right, so one of the things I need is your 40 hours is at a different rate. So what's your 40 hours at? At $12.40. Okay, so you got to figure that out on your calculator. That is not, I should not set that up like that, but that's all right. You know what I mean. Huh? Yeah, do I have? Go for it. It has no eraser. Okay. Here. There's a green one. I want it back. That one you can keep. I don't like pencils without erasers. That one probably matched you down the end of that one. Okay. 11 hours at time. Now, what is time and a half? $12.40 times 1.5. Only why? Now you said 0.5, so it'd be 0.5, but then you'd have to add it back on to the 12. So if you multiply by 1.5, that will give you your total. That'll give you your 1240 plus half of 1240, which half of 1240 would be 620, right? So let's see, that would be 1860. $18.60. And how many hours did you work at $18.60? 11 of those. And the 2 of those need to add together to give you your total. This is why, for example, we had guys that when my dad worked at the road commission, guys that would go out and plow snow for like 4, 5, 6 hours at time and a half all winter, were making big money. Yeah, great money. Well, my dad, when he worked at the road commission, my dad worked there for 40 years. Yeah, which nobody ever works in a job for 40 years anymore, it seems like. But he also did not graduate high school. My dad didn't. He dropped out of school when he was in the 10th grade, I think. Went home to farm. Got hired in at the road commission as a heavy equipment. He ran the payloader, like the big loader. He would load gravel and he could do all that stuff. Worked there for 40 years. And I mean, he was making good money, really good money. That doesn't necessarily, like you can't even, to get a CDL, he had to have a CDL and air brakes and he had to take all those tests later on, but that's pretty crazy. He was making really good money. 40 times 12.40 is $496. 1860 times 11 gives you, holy cow, $204.60. Did you get that? Yep. That's over half with just working 11 hours. Like work an extra 11 hours at Wendy's. If you were getting paid that much, if you were getting paid 18 bucks an hour, just saying, right? It really depends, doesn't it? So, and that's why, so, with our police department that we have in Millington, because we've only got the chief and we have an assistant chief, okay? Because we have the county officers that cover our area. When Chief Oliver, if he works overtime, which as a police officer you would, if you're in the middle of a call, you don't leave like the domestic and be like, okay, I'm clocked out, see you later. Like you have to finish. And if you're talking someone who's getting paid $20 an hour and you pay them time and a half, that's a lot of money, right? I mean, we're talking a lot of money. So a lot of times those that sometimes, have you ever heard of comp time? You ever heard of comp time? Sometimes like our officers will take comp time, like we owe them an hour, and so he'll leave an hour early here or there instead of taking the actual pay. Because you know what? You have a lot of overtime. As a business, is that going to be great? You don't want to pay somebody a whole lot of overtime. It's cheaper for me to have somebody else come in than pay Donnie overtime and time and a half. I'll just have somebody else come in. Okay. All right. So let's do this one. Actually, let's jump down. Let's do this one. Let's do this one all the way. Straight pay, hourly rate, overtime pay, total pay. Let's do that one. Okay, go. Takes you through the steps that we just did. When you're done, check with the neighbor. We do have, I do have the solar ones over there if you want to use one of those. That's fine, as long as you can. Did you get 494? Yes. Check my work. 594. What did I say? 494. 594. Yes. Okay. So pretty easy. Okay. So if you remember, we talked about getting straight. Most of you are, would you say, straight time pay? Do you agree? Probably most of. Okay. And then we talked about my job, on the other hand. What am I? I'm salary, right? Now, when you go to salary, do I have overtime? No, I do not. Right. So I don't, and do I have a set amount of hours?
No. Wait, yes.
Contractually, yes. Salary wise, no. No, and that's where, when your salary, you would have negotiated, like, when your acceptable hours would be located, you know, when I am required to be here from 7:30 until 2:50 technically. I don't take my lunch now, which is why part of the thing, when we went to COVID and stuff, when people said that our screwy schedule was all because of the teachers and stuff like that. But according to our contract, okay, usually we have a half hour, or what if we have 25 minutes for lunch? So we have 25 minutes for lunch that's supposed to be duty free, meaning we don't have. So remember in the past we had, was it Mr. Ford and Mr. Cornelius watch the cafeteria, right? They get paid to do that. Okay, they get like a stipend to actually do that. Where the rest of us, we didn't get paid, we just had lunch and we had duty free lunch that we don't do it. Now we hold meetings and all that stuff. So now because we are holding lunch in our classrooms, it's not duty free anymore. Now, is it a big deal? Are you like all unruly and out of control? No. Do I eat my lunch with you? Yeah, I do. Like, what? It doesn't matter. But according to our contract, that's not duty free anymore. Because now we have students. So they have to put that somewhere in the day. No, it actually helped them because they didn't have to pay that stipend to Cornelius and Ford this year for lunch supervisor, nor Lemansky or Mrs. Williams, who did lunch A, right? So it actually saved them. Huh?
Mrs. Williams would use the, oh, Mrs. Williams.
Yeah, Mrs. Williams and Mr. Lemansky. It's not, believe me. You don't, it's not, it's like one of those where the payment is not that, it's not that great. It's not, for me, it wasn't, that would, to give up my lunch every day, rather than sit at lunch with Kroger and them, and, you know, it wasn't that much. It's like, it's kind of like prom. Like, I don't do prom because I get paid big bucks for it. Same with Science Olympiad. The stipend is not that much. You do it because you love it. That's why. You know, you do it because you love it. So,
When is it?
okay. May 8th. What we're planning. Okay. So, salary. We're not doing this whole thing. I just wanted to show you this because we talked about what it means to be salary. And I thought the part in the middle, when it talks about what our pay periods, I know Tyler asked me about that. Because not everybody, now, and you could talk about, you know, not everybody takes a salary at the same weekly, bi-weekly. Like, I'm paid every other week, which would be bi-weekly. What are you paid? Bi-weekly? Bi-weekly, Donnie? Are you bi-weekly? Like every other week, or are you paid every week?
I get paid every week.
You get paid every week, okay? So, I mean, and you could say, is there a benefit of getting paid every week versus bi-weekly? Do they take more? Okay, so let's talk about this. So could someone make the argument that they take more, because we can't talk about salary without talking about taxes, right? Because what you're making is not what you're bringing home. Would you agree? Okay, so then we're going to talk about gross wages versus like your net pay, like what you get to take home. So could I say, because Donnie gets paid every week, he pays less taxes? Does he pay less taxes because he gets paid? Is there less taken out of him when he takes a paycheck home every week versus bi-weekly?
For every 2 weeks, you, for every paycheck you get, for 2 be the same as bi-weekly.
Okay. So some people say that like Mr. Kroger, for example, like I always, when I do my taxes, I always claim that I'm single and not married. Okay. Because if you claim that you're single and not married, they take the full amount of taxes out of your paycheck. Because they assume that when you have dependents, you take more money because you have to have more money to pay for your kids. So if I take out as much taxes as possible, when it comes down to filing my taxes, what happens? If I've already taken out the full amount, am I going to have to pay anything at tax time? No, we get a big fat refund check between my husband and I. So for example, if instead I claimed that I had, and you could put this on your taxes, claim that I had 5 children. I know it sounds like I'm lying, but if I say I have 5 children, they won't take as much taxes out of me, then that's all money that's coming in. But when it comes to tax time, how many of you love to pay? So most of you probably have to pay, correct? Unfortunately, a little bit, maybe. I remember when I played piano at a church when I was in high school, and they didn't take any taxes out of me because it was a church. So holy mackerel, when it came to finally, it was like, seriously? I had to pay because they didn't withhold anything. So we'll talk about withholding and stuff like that. It shouldn't matter. You are multiplying by a percent. So his percent would be less, but technically the percent doesn't change whether it's bi-weekly or weekly. Okay. So let's go through this. Just, we're not going to do the whole thing. I just want to hit some of the highlights here. Okay. On the salary. So your pay period. So how many pay periods would you have? Now, notice that the question is, how many pay periods would you have in a year if you were weeks? So how many weeks in a year? 52. How many of you didn't know that? That's okay. That's why we're doing this. I know, it's kind of weird. All right, so bi-weekly, 26. That's what I get paid in. I have 26 pays in a year. Okay. Still seems like a lot. And we were talking about this yesterday. I have the option to get paid through the summer when I'm not working. So my pay gets distributed throughout the whole year rather than stop my payments. Now I could get paid more, you know, and then the money would be, right? Then I'd have the money to do whatever I wanted to, but it's a lot easier to budget if I get paid all year. It does, doesn't it? When it's only 26. All right, if it's semi-monthly, ooh, that means twice a month. So how many months in a year? 12, and 12 times 2 is 24. And monthly, ooh, that'd be a bummer. I got paid monthly. That would take some great budgeting. You'd have to really budget well if you got paid by the month. You are? Is that how the military pays, is by the month?
Yeah, but you don't have to pay.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So you need to think about how you're going to bank all that money, right? Okay, so let's say that so you have any idea what you're going to make?
$1,700.
Okay. I was thinking that I wanted for the total of the year. So 1,700 a month would be 20,400. So let's do that. That's how much you're gonna make. It's pretty good. High school graduate? With the option, is it going to increase?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So this is his annual salary. He just said per month he's going to get paid $1,700, which is what I took. I took whoops, sorry, 20,400, and I divided it by 12 and got $1,700 a month. All right. What would he get paid if he had the week? What's 20,400 divided by 52? 392. Okay. What about every other week? Well, let's give you the benefit of the doubt. We'll round up for you. Okay. And semi-monthly, what is it?
850.